Welcome to After Work Conversations with Manic and the Jerk. I am the Manic Genius.
And I'm the sophisticated jerk.
What you got on the agenda for us to talk about today?
All right, man. This is actually one of the topics me and you were discussing a couple weeks ago, and you were like, "Hey, I kind of want to touch up on this one." So, information overload.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first question I kind of wanted to throw at you was, why is there so much bad information today? It's kind of stumbling on that
Um,
one.
yeah, no, no, you good, you good. I think, there's a lot of bad information due to accessibility. Anybody nowadays can grab a microphone, buy a microphone, and start spewing nonsense. Uh, that's just the day and age we live. Um, I think a lot of times with society, everybody wants to seem like they have the answers. So, with the accessibility with the internet, any idiot can buy a microphone and steal some talking points and pretend to be a guru. So, I just think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people just taking like the talking points and surface level things to try to make a career out of giving people advice. And it's just so much bad information out there.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of kind of what you're saying, I also think because that's definitely correct. Like I said, there's like way more access. You could just get a StreamYard account, plug into the internet, and you have an audience to a certain degree. Whoever you reach. But I also think like just kind of listening to what you were saying, I think people are kind of becoming more naive too, where I think even back in the day, we'll vet people a little bit more instead of just taking everything at face value. So I do
Oh
think
yeah.
like that's why, a lot of people are jumping into the space because they see like the audience, like, wow, this group over here, I see this person, they got so much views. Well, let me go out here and try to get some views to our, a little group of following or something. So
Yeah.
I definitely like what you were saying. But let me go
Uh,
ahead. Oh,
Wait,
did you want
actually,
to jump on that?
yeah. Just to piggyback off that, nah, you're right. The vetting process is a little different because we live in a day and age where uh, a lot of people vetting process involves checking somebody's background via whether it's like social media or finding somebody through the internet, and it's relatively easy to put on a front, like, and you can like yeah, kind of fake it till you make it. um I know you talked about back in the day, you kind of just things were more of word of mouth. So, and that word of mouth was kind of depending on people that you actually trusted. And, it was like, hey, if you hear from a guy that you trust, or a person or a group of people that you trust, it's relatively a reliable source and they're giving that information to you. So you utilize other people as that vetting process versus nowadays, a complete stranger can, buy a microphone, a camera, and record themselves telling you how to make $1 million in the next 30 days. And it sounds good. And if you click on social, their socials and whatnot, and they look like they're actually living that lifestyle, then it can be pretty confusing. So I see a lot of people, just really to second your point, I definitely concur with that. Like people are a lot more naive nowadays.
Yeah, and I do like what you said because it just brought up like an idea or like an imagery where like I see a lot of people they'll even talk about it openly, like, hey, sit by like a Lambo or something, like you said,
Yeah.
act like you got to lease a car, for like a day, do some photo shoots, and, like they'll slap that stuff on their Instagram and stuff, and then now people are buying into the imagery on that where they're looking at it like
Yeah.
you know what, this person might have some knowledge because I see them, with some ladies, they could be like rented chicks for like 2 hours or something. So they
Yeah,
putting on that
yeah.
imagery, and people are like, well, I'm gonna listen to whatever they say because on the outside it's looking great. So nah, that
Uh-huh.
was definitely a good point.
And I just read in a book recently, and this is common, I guess it's more or less common knowledge, but in psychology, um, visual cues are more powerful than non-visual cues. So if somebody says something, it's gonna have less of an impact. Um, than somebody else if they show it. So, you know, going straight to your visualization point, like a guy can rent out a Lambo, um, maybe rent out some dates and, make or give off the appearance of having a lot more than they actually have, just to sell a product or for, marketing purposes. And we see this through brands as well. So it's not anything new. It's just that with the accessibility the internet has provided, circling back to, the original point that we talked about, the accessibility is just, you know, anybody can access it. And there's a lot of money to be made, especially you know, due to globalization. We can reach people in, the UK, um, India. I know we've been like reviewing some movies and stuff like that in some different places, but um, yeah, you got the metrics on that. But yeah, everybody's accessible.
Yeah. All right, let me go ahead and jump into the next question because it kind of piggybacks off this a little bit. So, why is it so hard to find good information now?
Um, Honestly, I think that just goes in with the title. It's like an information overload. Um, Good information, it's not hard to find, but there's a lot of bloat, when you're sifting through information. So, um, unless you have experience, it's going to be very difficult for a younger person to navigate through certain things because um, there are certain things in life that you just have to, experience for yourself and you have to kind of trial and error. So I think good information is definitely available, but you have to know specifically, you know, where to look and what you're looking for.
Yeah, and just the one point I wanted to make because I think we are talking about it. I can't remember which live where me and you were talking about this in the background where you were kind of mentioning to me like one of the books you was reading and one of the breakdowns. Like I think people fixate on like negativity or like like a crisis title or something like
Oh
that. So I
yeah.
think sometimes like naturally like you'll just gravitate towards like like one of those like fear-based articles or something that's like
Hmm.
a tragedy or something like that. So I think when people do come out here, with like bad information and then,
Yeah.
they're slamming you with like, hey, this is gonna happen if you don't do this, then you're kind of just automatically like gravitate to that bad information where I think is if people are a
Yeah.
little more positive and like you say, might actually get like swarmed out by all this like negative like information. And by
Yeah.
human nature, we're gonna just kind of gravitate towards that negativity.
Yeah. That's the negativity bias. And I won't speak too much on it because I'm not a licensed psychologist or anything like that. But essentially, the negativity bias, predates our existence. I mean, it is for survival. You have to pay attention to things that can negatively impact your survival more than the things that um, are positive. Because if everything's going well, then there's really no concern. But if something is negative and you ignore it, then it can be detriment to survival, and that's just how our minds work. So we are naturally drawn to negative things more than positive. So when you factor that in to searching for different information, um, bad information might catch your attention faster than or a negative headline will catch your attention faster than let's say a positive one. And if you're on a journey looking for a specific information and that catches your attention, it can be a distraction.
Yeah, totally agree. So let me go ahead and I'll queue up this next one. So how should someone navigate through all this information to access good information? So we're gonna
Oh
start getting into the solution phase, how they can navigate through all this mess.
yeah. No, this is absolutely the best part, my favorite part. I know we've talked about it, you as well. We're very solutions based. We kind of have to, to be in our profession. But uh, I think the best way to navigate through all this information and find good information is, you know, you have to be somewhat of a cynic when you receive, great information or information that may seem too good to be true. Um, and to always reference that with, um, an expert. So I know for you, for example, we talk about finances quite often. And every time you tell me something new about, whether it's like a financial tool or anything like that, and I start asking you about it, you don't try to answer it. You straight up say, "Hey, I spoke to a financial advisor. I, recommend you speak to one too." And that is good information because I may know something or you may know something, but if you're not an expert in it, there's just going to be things that you're going to be missing, and you're not going to be able to fully, present that picture. And a good way to navigate through all this information to find, good information is seeking out an expert because um, their lane has been focused into whatever subject that is. So I'm great with my finances, but I still refer to a financial advisor and people who specialize in that field.
Yeah, I like what you were saying because I think somebody who genuinely wants to give you good information, they should always, provide you, like you said, with a citation, a source, or
Yeah.
another individual, unless they are that expert themselves. But even then, like I would still send you like people like solid articles, like, hey, this is why, you could kind of see what I'm telling you, through other people's eyes and stuff like that. So yeah, I think somebody that's always in a good field, they should give you something that you could like just like a second opinion kind of, where you could reference that, you could read it. It's from a
Yeah.
valid source, maybe like, oh, like you said, finances is Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, something like that, where you're just not hearing it from that person. And it's just like take in the information, but always go do your own research. Cause I mean, like we said, there
Yeah.
is information overload, but with that being said, there is a lane for you to like do some research with the accessibility of the information. So it's like, don't be just reliant on one person. Definitely go out there and start doing your own
Yeah.
research to validate that. Or like you said, you might have to go talk to a couple of people and start putting the pieces together. And then when you see like consistency in those messages, then that's when you know, like, okay, well, there's multiple people saying the same thing. This person is valid. So over time, like if they keep giving you good information, you keep checking it out, then that's when you could kind of
Yeah.
know me before and I know their character now. So
Yeah. Now, I'll just add, also look into your network. Like a lot of people say networking, and I don't know if everybody quite understands what that really means. But networking doesn't just start with, or it doesn't just start and end with your career. Um, a lot of times, the people you associate in your circles, your friends, the people who you allow to have access to you and you surround yourself with, they should be providing, some sort of value, whether it's entertainment value or I have a buddy of mine who's just happens to be really big into technology. So uh, whenever I talk to him, whether it's just like hanging out or, go grabbing a drink or something, I always just kind of pick his brain about like the latest in tech. And um, that he's actually a resource because he'll put me on to what's going on in the tech industry because he is generally interested or genuinely interested in that field. So um he might give me the action, and if it's good information, then I'll go investigate myself and, speak to other people that I know professionally in that field and, kind of investigate for myself, kind of like you suggested, like, hey, you got to do the research yourself. So don't just always take somebody's word for it. Um, yeah.
oh, and just one thing I wanted to piggyback off of because I like what you were saying. So it's gonna kind of connect to that too. But I know one thing we always preach is always keep yourself in like a growth mindset where you're constantly like,
Absolutely.
reading articles and stuff like that. Because, when you kind of do that also, you're gonna come across a lot of information. So when somebody does give you information, you're already gonna have like a baseline. you might not know like everything to like the granular level where you are, you might not be an expert in it, but at least you have an understanding. So when somebody does give you some information, you're like, okay, you know what? I heard that before. I read that in so and so. So let me listen into this because this person is like connecting a lot of dots that maybe I didn't have. So I think you just have to have your mindset where it's just like the stuff you were mentioning, but also like you're seeking information at the same time. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's how you kind of like filter through a lot of the bad information when you're not only just like receiving information, but you're seeking it at the same time. It's kind of like a 2-lane road and stuff. Instead of people, you're becoming reliant on people just feeding you information.
Yeah. Now, I just want to add one more thing because it was just funny. I just thought about it. Like we're good friends. So I know earlier in our
Kind of hate your
friendship that
guts. No,
now earlier in our friendship, there was a lot of things that like, I just from my own personal experience, I didn't agree with. And we would go back and forth and like kind of debate it out and like and no lie, like whenever I would say something and then you'd be like, oh no, it's not like that. And we break it down. Um I I would think that the conversation ended, with that discussion. And long behold, the next morning, I'm getting four text messages with seven. Each text message has two different articles referenced, supporting, the claims. It's funny, man, because I talked to your wife about it, and she's just like, "Yeah, he sends me those articles too." And it's like, but no, it's good because that really changed my perspective, and it broadened my perspective because not only are you standing on what you spoke
why you
about,
bringing
but
up old shit? No, I'm joking.
but now you're providing the proof and like the foundation for it. So it's just like a lot of times, people, myself included, we kind of get into the habit of personalizing everything. And just because it hasn't happened to you, or you may not realize it exists, or we may see something that happens to us and think that it happens to everybody. And that's just not reality. Reality is everybody has their own individual experiences and perspectives. So um when you do run into a sophisticated jerk, this motherfucker will send you articles supporting every claim that he states and make it very difficult to refute any of his arguments. So I
No,
learned
that's funny.
quickly on
I do
to
remember all
adopt that
that.
technique.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to step on you. But nah,
No, no,
it's
you're good.
just when you generally want somebody to have good information and you want them to elevate. It's like, man, I want everybody around me to be on some fly shit. I want them to be informed and stuff. So, because somebody did the same thing to me. So it's funny when you
Yeah.
were saying that because I used to think back when the individual would be like, hey, here you go, do this, read this, read this. And I'd be like, man, what the hell? But I end up taking that person's position. And I know like when you were giving people
Yeah, yeah.
information, you started doing the same thing. So, it's just like when you become more informed, you just take that approach because it's just like, hey, I don't want nobody be too reliant on me. So it's like you're kind of structuring them the right way where, you want them to go out and seek the information and do their level of research. Cause I
Yeah.
see a lot of people and, you see it in kind of like, I was watching this, like how to make a cult type thing. And those type of people that just want you to be there naive and stuff, they want you to become reliant on them, to a certain degree. And that's when people get scammed. So, I don't want nobody to be relying on me. I don't want like, that's
Yeah.
why I always try to push people. I'm like, hey, here's some sources and stuff like that. Cause I actually want you to be like, in a boss type level, and a lot of people want you like at a lower tier, thinking where they can kind of control you and stuff. So they'll feed you like little portions of information and stuff, tweak it to their suit, their whatever fits their narrative and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm very cautious about that, man. So no, it was just funny.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you did it because I mean, a lot of times, I would be defending hard a point, and then you send me some articles, and I'm like, damn, nah, this the way this person broke it down. Okay, I see what he was talking about now. Okay, and it really allows you to just see not only your perspective in explaining it, but you know, the the author of the articles, and I say articles, there's multiple articles. You'll never just sit one.
Yeah, it's in about 5. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, so it's just like not only am I now equipped with your perspective, but I'm also equipped with 5 different other people's perspective, and I'm able to input my, perspective into that. And it's not about winning or losing an argument. It's about, having a debate and a discussion to really learn, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing. When you have a growth mindset, you're in a constant state of, learning, and in a constant state of continual improvement. And that's how you win.
But the key thing is, you were receptive to it. Because I mean, I used to take the same approach, but some people like, hey, stop sending me information. So there is that flip side too, where people are just
Yeah.
like, hey, I want to be, just tell me what to do, I'll go execute. And I know
Mhm.
so many people, like I said, that got scammed, or that got taken advantage of, because like they'll go to that one source and that person's like, hey, come over here, and they take full advantage of it, because they, like, a lot of people understand like people being naive and how they could get over on them. So, you're
Yeah.
receptive to it. That's why you're in the position you are.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll go ahead and jump into this next question. So what
Or
are some
AKA, if you guys didn't catch that position that I'm in.
yeah.
It's a winning
Yeah, I had to throw
position.
it out. I was being a little subtle with
it's,
it, but
it's a winning position.
yeah, damn right. So what are some signs or indicators of bad information?
Oh, I was gonna just answer this question, but I think I'm gonna tell a little story. Um, when I was younger, uh, definitely more naive, and I've always been a very receptive person. Just through playing through, I had to learn to be that way just with sports, because in sports you're never great at something. And you might be great around your peers, but there's always levels to it, and there's always a higher level, especially with sports, that you can get to and achieve. So um, I became really great at sports because I was very receptive to constructive criticism and a lot of feedback. So it was more of just a complete openness. Okay, I need to change this. I need to work on my handles a little better. I need to work on my jump shot, whatever it is. Just being very receptive to it, and going into the business world, and it made me a little bit naive, to the point where if somebody told me something, I kind of just took it at face value, and just believed it, and just would more or less run with it. And that's dangerous. But I, I I wanted to tell that little story because you know people grow, people mature, and you can be naive, and it doesn't mean you'll be gullible for the rest of your life. A few bad experiences with it, a couple scams, and you realize, like, hey, I don't want this to ever happen to me again. So, the indicators of bad information. The first one is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I mean, that's an old adage. But I mean, it speaks volumes. Whenever you're getting information that seems, uh, easy, or, it can make you wildly successful in a short period of time, you have to really take a step back and not just get excited about the information. You have to take a step back and just digest, what information is actually given to you. Are they telling you something, or are they actually giving you the steps? And those are two completely different things. A person who tells you something, says, hey, I did this and I can get you there. A person who actually gives you the steps, breaks it down step by step, that's easy to replicate and easy to follow. And they don't use vague terminology, affiliate marketing, stuff like that. Like, a lot of those things are too good to be true. Not to say that you can't be profitable, or make money, or that the information is not good, but a lot of times with marketing, you have to sell, sell, sell. And like, you set an expectations that's just, unrealistic. So be very skeptical when you see information. And the indicators in a nutshell are, if it's too good to be true, definitely take a step back to question it.
No, I like that. Whenever you were saying that, it made me think of like the 3-minute workouts and all that stuff that came about a
Yeah.
decade ago. Everybody had like a shorter, like
90x.
they
Yeah.
shaved a minute off, and I'm like, man, if you don't get your ass in the gym for like an hour, this stuff don't work. But yeah, I'll say some of the signs and indicators. I'll say one of the major ones, and it kind of piggybacks off of what you were saying. Is just if somebody doesn't kind of approach me and say, hey, this is a long-term process and you're gonna have to put some work in, and they're
Mhm.
not pitching it to me like that, I already know it's kind of like a scheme or it's one of those, like you said, get rich things, because it's just like there's rarely to gain success. It's just a long path, man. And you're gonna have to go through them, like you said, those different steps in life to get there for the most part. Some people might get lucky here and there, but that's slim to none. So it's like you can't bank, your success on that type of, anomaly or something like that just
Yeah.
kind of fall out the sky. So if somebody's like I said, they're not pitching like a long-term plan. They're not like, hey, we're gonna have to put this work in to get here, but here's what it looks like. Yeah, I move on. Like I said, I'd be nice. I take the information in, but I already kind of know like it's not for me, because I look at things look just now naturally just going through life and understanding stuff like it's long term. So I'll say that's one of the biggest indicators for myself.
Yeah, long term. So we got too good to be true, and if things are short term, get rich quick. Yeah, red flags.
Yeah. Do not put your money into it,
Yeah,
because
do not.
damn near you could just take that information and check it out, and you'll learn quick, before you start dumping your money into those things.
Yeah. And you got to think about a lot of people will say invest in yourself. And I fully believe you should invest in yourself. But there's smart investments and then there's, schemes and scams. A smart investment is yourself is, getting educated, whether it's through school traditionally or, a course that's going to actually give you a desired outcome. Um, uh, those are like good investments. The investments where it's just like, hey, give me, $50 and I'll add you to my, campaign of other people like-minded like us and we can all get money together. Like that is a money play and you're going to fill their pockets. And I know most people do not get, the value that they initially anticipate. And some people still stick around and, pay the monthly fees or whatever subscription model they got going on, because they grow to just like being a part of something. So, but I think that a monthly investment like that could be used to better your future, whether it's in, me personally, I do mutual funds and ETFs, um, rather than, these online coaches, and that's not a shot at an online coach in particular. That's just, kind of the day and age that we live in. It's like everybody's a guru. And some of these people give great information and great advice. Um, but the vast majority, they're just people with a microphone and have done the work to set up a system in which they can, take your money.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like if somebody's transparent, they could show you the steps, like you mentioned, then definitely. I mean, that's somebody that's like being upfront with you. And I do think there's no wrong with getting like counsel and paying for it, because it
Mhm.
could like expose you to like higher levels. But like you said, it's just like if somebody's just like selling you a bill of goods and there's nothing to go along with it, and it's pretty much some information you could have just like Googled, then yeah, don't waste your money on that. Stop thinking it's short term steps and get rich solutions, and like look at some certifications like project management, program
Yeah,
management,
PMP.
Lean Sigma Six, those type of things, and start building yourself out, start networking, like you said before, where it's just like when you start coming across like people that you meet going along your path, man, they're gonna start plugging you into other information and stuff like that. So it's just like you can't always like try to get by without putting that work in.
Yeah. I'm just gonna drop one gem. This is a life hack. If you want to help streamline your career or your success, find a mentor. Find somebody who you admire and somebody who's in a position that you would like to be in, and lock in. And a mentor is different from a coach. A coach can have 70 different clients, but a mentor, you know, you having a mentor, you're going to have that one-on-one time where they can actually explain the process, break it down, check up on you, and have that real relationship to help you get to the next level, because they're going to actually know you and know your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. So that's a lot different from just finding somebody on the internet who you admire. You really have to if you want to take your, you know, life or career or existence to the next level, find a mentor, you know, because there's people with great information that they would love to share. And it's just so many people that they can't share it with because, quite frankly, it'll just be a waste of their time.
Yeah, that's
Because most
facts.
people, because most people just aren't going to take the information because it's hard work. A lot of times in life, it takes hard work and consistency and dedication. And you know, the majority of people, you know, are just not going to do it. You know, there's a reason why there's a 1%. There's a reason why there's a 5%. There's a reason why there's a 10%. There's a reason why there's a 20%. Because the remainder of people, let's say the 80% of the people, are not willing to do what the top 20% people are willing to do. So, um, having that mentor will be able to know you. He'll be able to, or he or she will be able to recognize some inconsistencies from where you say you want to be and what you're actually doing. And they'll call you out about it. You know, Sophisticated Jerk was my mentor and still is. Like, he calls me out on my shit all the time. And I call him out on his. Like,
Yeah,
so
no, it's a two-lane
yeah.
thing, man. No, you're supposed to learn from each other. So no, I like what you were saying, and man, it could save you a lot of headaches, and it could also streamline your path. You know, not to the point where you can't, you know, you're not going to be able to, you don't have to put that work in, but you know, like what that person went through, they could pass on that information to you, and you know, shave off a couple of years, you know, shave off a couple of steps, you know, make you more efficient, and then, like you said, you kick back that information to them people. So that's how that network starts building. You know, the
Yeah.
next person that comes up, you know, you're supposed to pass it along. So that's how you kind of start building a community at the end of the day once you kind of think about it. So now I like that point of view.
Yeah.
But all right, man, we'll go ahead and close this one out, and we're definitely going to start touching on more of these type of topics, more career advancement, things like that, to kind of, you know, start shaping that mindset, and
Hmm.
you know, just hitting different topics besides, you know, relationship, because we're
Yeah.
people been reaching out and wanting us to break this stuff down since we are in that like business arena and stuff like that, business field. So any last words, Manic?
Nah, man, I enjoy this conversation, so I'm looking forward to the next couple topics, or you know, however how we push it. But you can follow me on IG, the Manic Genius. Hit up the Manic Sophistication. Go to YouTube, type in Manic Sophistication. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and whenever we drop a video, like it, comment. You know, because it just does well with the algorithm, and you know we're trying to grow this channel, so we appreciate all the support we can get.
Yeah, and just
That's it
one
for me.
last thing. Oh, okay, my bad.
No, you're good.
Nah, just definitely check out the channel. We've been dropping like a new podcast of shit guys talk about. We also have the worst reviews ever, where we're doing movie reviews. And what we're trying to do on our platform is just show, you know, guys getting together, having fun, you know, without all the drama and stuff, you know, just being on some nerd shit. Because I think sometimes like people think like masculinity and alphas gotta be all toxic and stuff. You know, you can't sit back and have fun. So now we're trying to just, we're gonna be doing different things. We got some other ideas coming down the line also, but yeah, we just having fun, man. So if y'all like got some movies y'all want us to review too, let us know. But we're definitely expanding out. So check that all out. Like Manic said, hit that alert button so you know you get them early alerts. But all right, we'll go ahead and close this out.